What's up? And welcome to Daytime Talk After Dark. Chilling with us on a Friday. My day. I love Fridays. I feel like Thursdays have kind of usurped Fridays. I don't know why. You have to work the next day, but I just like going on a Thursday night. Fridays feels a little...
Thursday's the new Friday, for sure.
No, Thursday's college night.
Right. It feels that way since college for me.
Because it's called college night. Thursday nights were always like the penny pitchers and like all the deals and stuff.
Trivias.
To get all my classes. Are we going?
Yeah.
Oh, we're on?
No, Chef Pat's leaving.
Oh, he is? All right. Oh,
Bye,
later,
Chef
buddy.
Pat.
All right, bro.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
kind of
Chef
like it.
Pat.
It's like an intimate little forum here. But yeah, I would schedule all my classes and I take night classes on like Wednesdays to pack them all in. So I'd only go to school in college Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday so I could party Thursday night.
So you made your life a 3-day weekend. That's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Is it?
What did you do?
I feel
Cry
like
in your dorm room?
No, I studied art history and
I'm
went abroad.
such a misfit. I just watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer play.
Oh, I don't care for that. Anyway.
Why not? It's a great play.
Dude,
it's a great TV show.
It's a terrible
Yeah.
idea.
What?
The
Dude,
story
listen,
is
bro.
wrong.
Let's get into it.
Let's have
He
this
just
out,
wants
bro.
to be a dentist, dude.
Look,
Wait, what?
look,
Dentist?
Rudolph.
The claymation play. Remember with the dentist and the abominable snowman?
Yes, but
Is that with the fiery guy? The firehead guy?
What was your childhood like?
I think you watched another program.
No, is it the abominable snowman and the guy who made fire? And
No,
heat?
and not Yukon Jack, but you know that other guy
I know what you're talking
who
about.
always licks the pick. You never saw the claymation Rudolph?
I did see the claymation Rudolph. That's the one I'm going off. But I just think the concept that Rudolph was made fun of to the point where he was forced to leave with the other reindeers because they rode him into the ground. He was physically deformed, and instead of embracing him, they banished him. They were like, "Get out of here! You're so gross. We can't look at you." Then, because Santa apparently was shocked that there was snow on Christmas Eve, did not plan well, has to go get the guy that he allowed to be bullied and be like, "Yo,
'Cause Santa
please
knew.
bail me out
Santa
because
knew.
Sorry, my people made fun of you, but we're in a lurch here." And then Rudolph goes and does it. I'd have been like, why don't you guys go? Like, good luck getting back to your sleigh, big boy. Just hold him over.
I'm more from the old school. You got to hit rock bottom and then climb your way out. And that's what Rudolph did.
But Santa knew. By his little red nose.
Yeah. And if he hadn't have persevered, we wouldn't be praising his
I just don't think it's cool
name
that Santa,
around this year.
Santa knew the whole time. Santa knows if you're nice or naughty. So he knew his reindeers were being dicks. And he didn't do shit. Sorry.
Really?
That's so messed
Blitzen
up.
especially. Blitzen took pleasure.
Vixen loved it.
Yeah, that's what turned her on
Donner,
about. Yeah,
you're
she was like,
weird kink. Whatever.
love you guys.
That's how we're starting this
Oh,
one.
yes, I love it. All right, so let's
Christmas cheer. Merry Christmas.
Let's get
everybody.
into it. Let's follow up with a couple cases that really kind of started when we were on DBL. The first one is divisive to say the least, but very. It's hard to even think about what happened. But Daniel Penny, he was the former U.S. Marine, I believe, that was charged with murdering via chokehold to a young black homeless man
Jordan
Neely that appeared to have some mental health disorders. Apparently he was causing chaos disruption on the train. Mr. Penny steps in and applies a chokehold that I'm sure he learned in the Marines and applied that chokehold to the point where Mr. Neely was killed. The public split both sides. Some people saying he got rid of a public menace. Other people saying it's not this isn't vigilante justice. You don't get to go around killing people that are annoying you on the train. So Tori, talk to us about your feelings on this case then and now.
If I were on the subway train, I probably would have wanted someone to step in. So I'm being really honest because we talked about that beforehand. I don't want to lie about that. There's some feelings about how he celebrated. Unfortunately, he went out and drank with his lawyers and kind of posted it all about, it's a little weird.
You're saying today after he got
Yeah,
out.
afterwards.
But hold on, let me stop you right there because I want to be clear with your thoughts. When you say step in, what do you mean step in? Because there's step in and then there's kill you stepping.
Right. Now, I did watch someone directly after the incident on the subway be interviewed. And they were like, did you think the person was causing a menace and a present danger? And she was like, yes. So that is Jordan Neely. So at some point, someone felt uncomfortable enough to step in. And after, I'm going to say 9/11, in which we saw people on United 93 stepping up and stepping in to do something, there is a sense of like, someone's going to do something. Someone's going to fix it. And so you sort of want that to happen. I think manslaughter might have been it could have been a case for manslaughter. The jury couldn't come to a verdict on the manslaughter court case, but he is being held for a civil suit as well. So it's not all over for Penny.
Do you think this sets a dangerous precedent?
Yeah, to me, a manslaughter would have clearly been. I mean, there was negligence there of how much he held, how much you let go. But there's also drugs in the guy's system. Mm-hmm. But to me, I don't think it was like attempted murder, but a negligence homicide or a manslaughter case of a lower charge would have been something I would have been.
Isn't that what people said about George Floyd?
In terms of
when he was strangled by whatever that monster's name,
Chauvin.
Derek
Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin, that he had drugs in his system.
Yeah, they did, but they found out that A, he didn't have very many, and B, he was also threatened by police and anxious and had panic because of that as well. I look, would I have wanted someone to step in? Yes. Do I think it's such a hard line?
Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally get Tori dancing around it in some aspect, because if you take either side, you're going to be hit from the other side. George Floyd, I think it was a different case, but very similar.
Right. Well, and George Floyd, this was
authority figure,
authority figure
law for
that had a knee on his neck,
right,
which isn't necessarily a chokehold to subdue somebody, right? He and for how long?
11. It was like
9
minutes,
something like
yeah.
9. I forgot the exact because we said it so many times, but it was an egregious amount of time, and he was definitely putting force into George Floyd that didn't need to be applied at that point.
And people were like, get off him,
right,
like, on the thing.
And I think this is a different case in just the way there's other people around, right? You're not authority figure. I know he's in the Marines and things like that. But like Tori said, there were people on a train that felt like someone needed to step in. Yeah. And I always get worried about this, not just this case. It's like, do I step in? I have physical capabilities. I'm not as young as I was, but do I step in when I see something's going wrong? And we mentioned on a few podcasts ago, if I saw a one-on-one fight, I wouldn't be jumping in anymore because of things like this. If it's 5-on-1 and I'm trying to break it up because this guy's getting killed by 5 guys, I'm going to probably step in. But if it's now, I think ethnicity plays a huge role in this, especially
Race
coming off the heels of the George Floyd case. But to look at it from every angle equally, I don't know if there's a way you could do that. You know what I mean? Because if I was on there, if my wife, let me say this, if my wife was on there with my 2 kids and a man was causing a clear and present danger, I would have hoped somebody stepped in and did what they did so my kids wouldn't get involved, because this man was allegedly on drugs. I don't even need to say allegedly. And people were fearful. So he needed to do something. Did he need to assert that much force? That's where it gets tricky. You know, that's where I could take it to somewhere else. You get in a bar fight, man, and you hit someone and they get knocked out and they hit their head on the concrete. Guess what? You're going to jail for murder.
That's manslaughter.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're going to jail for murder, whether you meant to do that or not.
Right.
This guy, I think his intentions were good, but then you bring race into it, and then did you need to apply that much pressure for that long? That's where the jury needs to make a decision. But there's so much coming off the George Floyd case. I didn't like the rhetoric of, hey, on the other side saying we need to get up and we need to start breaking and burning stuff so we get our point across. I don't think that's the way you handle things either. You know what I mean? When you get a case that you don't like. I understand for you, and I want you to speak on this, there's been injustice after injustice after injustice. Nobody wants to hear this coming from a white guy. I'm just talking about my family being on a subway, and I just want to have these conversations. I see both sides of this thing, and especially the climate we're in socially, I totally see both sides to this. So no matter what side you take, even if you look at it, I thought that was very logical. My thinking of all that, people are going to have opinions on that,
right? But I just, as we go forward with this podcast, I don't want you to ever think that I'm looking at you or we're looking at you as like this is a white guy talking. That's internet.
No, but I
talk.
I appreciate it, but I feel comfortable saying that because, and it's not just black or white thing. it's anything, a woman's point of view, or if,
Right.
you know, I don't know what it's like to be molested. I don't know what it's like to grow up in a single household, whatever it may be. You know,
Right.
I'm always trying to put myself in someone else's shoes, but you can only do that to a certain extent.
Right.
Without knowing exactly how that feels, you know? So
Exactly.
I'm imagining what it feels like to be a black person and having those injustices. I truly do. And I'm like, man, if I had that time after time after time after time, I'm on enough of that already.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
enough of that. There would be some
brave.
anger there.
You
You
brave.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
1,000%.
just saying that from a family man point of view, if my wife's on there with 2 kids, please somebody step in and help my family, regardless of race or ethnicity, you know?
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from with all that.
And just so as the jury foreperson read the not guilty verdict, some observers in the courtroom applauded. Others began to audibly sob and yell, including Neely's father. "This is America," quote, "This is the sound of black pain. No justice, no peace." It is interesting that it's become divided over
yeah.
race. I think that is interesting.
But those stories
Yeah.
get so much attention.
yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also because there is the, you know, there was the acquittal of, who's the kid, the kid that shot the people at the George Floyd protest that got off.
Oh, Kyle. What is it?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
so-
that was outrageous.
Right. And so he,
that was outrageous, in my opinion.
him not receiving these kind of, and I'm weirdly glad that I brought him up for what I'm going to say, because somebody that lived in New York for almost 6 years, I was on a lot of trains where there were people causing
Me
a
too.
disturbance. I was on a lot of trains where people had relieved themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a public
Yeah.
thoroughfare. And so there's going to be, especially when it's cold, there's just one time me and comedian Dan Soder, he's really famous now, but a good friend of mine, we were going back to our place in Queens, and we alerted the police because we thought that there was a dead homeless guy on the train. You see a lot of crazy
Yeah,
stuff
New
on
York's
the train.
crazy about
and when
that.
things happen like that, people get up and move the train car. I think that would be my first thought. It's like, why were you still sitting there? There are fights on the train. There are, I also saw, if you want a little bit of levity, one time when I lived in Queens, there was a mariachi band. There was break dancers that were amazing. There was a mariachi band, and they would come through and play and then want money. And there was this older black woman that was asleep on the train, and I watched this mariachi band just line up next to her. And I knew she was about to get the alarm clock of her life. And they hit that horn, and she just like sprung alive. She was not expecting to hear mariachi at 4:11 in the afternoon. But
That's
shout out to
Benny
that
Hill,
black
that's
woman just trying to get some sleep on the train. But, you know, the public trains are crazy. And I think the issue with me is if he felt like he needed to step in, and he has training for that. I'd be like, if anybody on this car should step in, it would be this guy. But when you have training, it's like the UFC. You don't see people killed in a UFC fight, even though 3 of the 7 matches end in a submission in which somebody's being choked. Because
How long, though, was the choke? This guy held him down in a chokehold. Guess how long?
How long?
You guess.
2 minutes?
Longer.
Jeez, what do you think, Joe?
So I'm talking about this specific incident.
Daniel.
Think about how long ago it was stopped. 5 minutes?
Longer.
Oh my God, how long?
It's a 6-minute chokehold.
Oh my God,
That's an incredibly
And Jeff,
long
But chokehold to the point where because here's the thing, when you know, I know a little bit about that stuff, but like when you submit somebody, it means you're cutting off the blood and oxygen
Yeah.
to your brain and you go out.
Yeah.
And that's when you release the chokehold because the person's out.
Well, there's
You
video of
don't
him kind of out
right,
of it, right?
So he wasn't applying that choke for 6 minutes straight. I don't
was-
think.
yeah, they said-
he was subduing him.
They said he placed Neely in a chokehold that prosecutors said lasted almost 6 minutes.
And here's the thing. That's another thing. We weren't there. You know what I mean? And we don't know if he was releasing and then the guy tried to struggle and he put it back on. We don't know the details, everything. So
But it's odd that
just
there wasn't any kind of charge.
Well, one of the things,
Even a lesser charge to
one-
me. That's
one-
odd.
But
and
if you're in a
yeah.
confined, again, I go back to that confined space, and there's a crazy person, regardless of race, there's a crazy person on there. I mean, what happened to those days of like somebody stepping in and being like,
Yeah.
that's enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's enough here.
But after
you know?
3 minutes, enough is enough, no?
Well,
4 minutes?
and I don't-
5
But if you
minutes?
don't want him to get back up till like authorities come till the next stop, I'm
Right.
not saying keep the pressure on the whole time,
Right.
but you do have to subdue them in some sort of way where they're not going to get out.
there's a video of Matt.
Maybe I'm completely wrong.
There's a video of Matt Serra, who famously upset George St. Pierre, And he's some guy at a restaurant's acting up, didn't know who he was sitting next to. And Matt Serra just kind of held him down, like, like he was on top of him. And the guy was like, had no idea the former UFC champ had him. But he subdued that guy until the cops came. My issue with this situation, one, it made me think about Bernie Getz. Do you guys remember Bernard Getz? He famously, I think in the 80s, late 70s, was a subway vigilante and was tired of the crime and took a 6-shooter and killed people in the subway. And he
It's in We Didn't Start the Fire.
Right, yeah.
AIDS crack, Bernie Getz.
Yeah. So and it was a big social media storm, at the time. There's no social media. And it makes me wonder, you know me, I'm always about precedent. So is this a thing now? Can this be used as a defense that I felt in fear for my life, so I killed this person? Because with the chokehold, and one of the things that came to light with the George Floyd situation and why people were saying police should not be able to use them is because the natural defense that police officers say is they were struggling. But if I came up and put you in a chokehold, your arms would naturally come up to defend yourself. No one goes, oh, I'm in a chokehold. Like it's impossible. It's almost like if I reach for your eyeball, like you would just defend yourself. And so it's kind of like this self-fulfilling thing where like he's struggling, so I'm going to keep the chokehold. He's struggling to breathe and get a little bit of air, which causes you to lock in more. And so it's this it's a hold that causes the person that's trying to subdue the person to continue it, and causes the person that is inching closer and closer to death to continue to struggle. So that's the controversy with that move. So
but if you do it right away, you pass out. You don't die.
I don't think people,
like that's. But if you keep it and don't let oxygen to your brain, of course, yeah, you're gonna die. But again, this is so hard to talk about. But if you if you have him in a body lock, like a leg lock, and you're subduing him, that person when they wake up is not getting out of that leg lock.
There's no way,
right? They're not getting out of there. You don't have to. I don't know what submission he had, a rear naked choke. I don't know where he was on his body.
He was right up here.
But I mean, I don't know if he was laying down with him, if he just did the rear naked choke from the back. I don't know the details. Well, it's just there is something to be said, maybe not in this case in particular, but I don't mind people kind of intervening these days because there's some insane people out there and they think they could do whatever they want and don't touch me and hey, let that guy go. He's just a little crazy. You can't just let crazy people be running around town and in neighborhoods around children. It's just like something needs to be done. I'm not saying it's a black-white thing or this particular case was right or wrong. I'm saying we need to get back to the days where it's like, listen, man, there's kids around here, there's families. Go be crazy somewhere else, man, and get back to that. And I don't mean to be physical about it or at all, but it's like we're just letting everything run amok and like, hey, I'm not going to touch that person because they're crazy and they're not my responsibility. There's something to be said about a man that sticks up for his community, not this man in particular. I'm just saying in general that's gone in fear of in case something happened.
Yeah. And
if this was a black on black or a white on white, would we know about this crime?
Probably not. No.
Right.
I don't think we would know about anything until the news thinks that they can spin it one way or the other.
Yes.
And just to close this out, to your point, Jeff, you're constantly saying like, I don't want this to be a black or white thing. It's weird if anybody listening was raised by a black dude from the old school. My dad used to break up fights he would get out of the car and break up a high school fight. Me and my sister would be like, get back in the car, but like it's a very old school way to do it. Yeah. And there were no cameras around. He wasn't trying to be a hero.
And there was no like guns like there is now. That's true.
It's more of an old school mentality than we need to clean up these streets. It's just like, this is happening in my neighborhood. I don't want this to happen. Like, let's all try and be cool and hopefully everybody can walk away. It's not, Jeff you're not, I can see yourself worrying about painting yourself as a white dude that's down with a white dude that killed a black guy. What really I hear my father and my uncles that just broke up so many fights and didn't like get the key to the city for it. It was just like they did that and then they went back home. And so like it's just a way that people used to live. And when people protected their community more than seeing the world as more of an online global, it's just like, these are my blocks and like our lawn's going to be done and we're going to hold down this street. And it's a very old school mentality.
Yeah. But you brought something like to light. Maybe I do have like that old crazy idea way of thinking, like, sometimes you do have, but it's like, is it worth it now? I'm not, at the same token of wanting to protect my family, maybe to protect my family is to do nothing. Because I don't know if that person has a gun. I don't know if they know jujitsu. I mean, I'm 47 years. How old am I? I'm old. Like maybe to protect my family is to turn my back like everybody else. But again, not this case. I just wish there was more of like, yo, man, you don't do that here. Like that. Go do that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I have a crazy leave it to Beaver type of
sense
attitude.
of decency and like
that
civilian.
would be my luck though. The one time I'm like, I'm gonna channel a little Jeff Schroeder and break up this fight, and I realize this dude is a kickboxer from like from Germany. I'm like, sir, you need it. Like you take 2 hot ones, and you're like, oh no. Like, you realize there's not another man.
I've made a terrible mistake.
Everybody knows jujitsu, but this has nothing to do with it. But I think I told this story before. I just remember being at Wrigley Field one time, and after a game, and the Cubs played the Giants, and we were at the Cubby Bear, I think, right across the street from Wrigley Field, and I don't even know who won. We were just having a good time, and there was a guy there with his buddy and like his buddy's girlfriend, and they're wearing Giants jerseys, and some guy was wearing a Cubs jersey, and I was like in between, he's like, swearing and giving the business and all this, and then he's like chesting up to him, and I was like, dude, and I was a young kid, I didn't care. I was like, dude, you got to relax, man. What are you talking about? Because he's wearing a San Francisco jersey. I'm like, he's here with his girl. I'm like, sit down, dude, before you get beat up. And my friend's like, is there a problem? And my friends stepped up to beat up the guys from Chicago. And I'm like, I'm sorry about that, dude. We're not like that here. Like, I don't know what that is. It's a baseball game. I'm sorry. And he's like, thank you so much for that, man. He goes, I almost got my ass kicked over. He goes, my girlfriend's from, and then we started talking. I'm like, you're wearing a jersey and you want to fight this guy over a baseball game that you have nothing to do with? And it's just like, maybe that's the mentality that I have when it comes to these things. Maybe it doesn't even relate to the story, but that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, dude, settle down. Right. Like everybody settle down. But then when drugs and guns are involved, it's a different game.
Right. It's scary. And speaking of scary, and I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this. It's a story we've kind of followed off and on. And like, I know our audience isn't big One Direction fans. I didn't even know that this person was in One Direction, but Liam Payne, one of the members that fell off a balcony and lost his life. It's been reported pretty extensively that he had drank excessive amounts of alcohol. Jeff, I don't think you were here the last time we talked about this, that he had 6 bottles, Tori, 6 bottles of whiskey. And she's like, Jeff, could you imagine
drinking? He drank that?
Yes. Can you imagine having 1 bottle of whiskey? You would be,
wow.
And so basically where this happened, I believe it's in Buenos Aires. I'm 99% sure, checking. If it's not Buenos Aires, I'll correct this. But he's his friend, because it's like, if I drank a lot and you were like in charge, you told the DBL crew, I'll keep an eye on Al, I relapse and I meet the same fate, you can be charged in this country, in Buenos. You can be charged. In Argentina, you can be charged as what do you call an accomplice charge or whatever, not stepping up for your friend, even though he had ordered prostitutes and cocaine and had
kind of similar to what we're talking about in a way.
Police have been called, and now it's saying that the judge says that 2 workers at the hotel could be charged and his friend, but none of the police that were called several times. And I feel like this is a huge passing of responsibility to some people that were probably maintenance workers and late night, overnight hotel front desk people that don't have any training in dealing with somebody that has 6 bottles of whiskey and a kilo of cocaine inside of them.
I don't know the legal ramifications, but were any of those charged that they were delivering any of the drugs?
I do not think so. I think it's that they, one was a receptionist, and basically, it is saying that they participated.
See, I think that there's more conspiracy involved in what they actually delivered, including the drugs themselves. I think might have been involved in some of those people. But like, I've listened to the 911 calls, and they were like, we cannot control this man. Like, we need you right here, right now. And then the police came, but I'm just wondering how he got the drugs and if they were involved somehow in the setup.
It doesn't say that. It says that hotel employees were seen forcibly taking him to his room. So maybe that they sent him to the room that he would eventually die from. But I think that it's almost like there's like a responsibility now to the people that didn't take the drugs, that they should have done something. Like, what is his responsibility? This person that died does have a hand in his death. And the fact that this is being passed to people that were just working. Can your Uber driver take you home and then you finish drinking yourself to death and they're like, oh, you should have known this person was drunk? Like, what responsibility does that end for you?
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, what if you were 20-year-old Al or 20-year-old Tori struggling in LA and you were working at a hotel and some Mick Jagger's there and he keeps buying bottles of whiskey and tipping you $500 every time you brought one? Would you stop bringing them bottles of whiskey?
What like Matthew Perry situation too?
Do you know what I mean?
What would your hotel manager say if the next morning Mick Jagger doesn't overdose and he just goes, hey, your 20-year-old employee Jeff told the king of rock and roll Mick Jagger I couldn't have another bottle of vodka. Would you work there anymore?
No. Yeah, yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? You're not a drug counselor.
I'm also sure the hotel wants to take responsibility off themselves and blame other people.
Needs to be
the bad guy here, right? Because it's a bad look for the entire country. It's a bad look for them. Where did the drugs come from? I mean, it just brings up a lot of bad things. So I think it's a scapegoat situation.
Right. But you think even the police are just trying to be like, that's the hotel, but they have been called a few times.
Yeah, I think that this is all trying to blame a certain person, and I don't know. I just feel bad for the whole situation. It's weird too because he filmed that morning, so we all saw him that morning, and then he just got very belligerent. So I feel bad for the whole family.
But, I mean, some responsibility's got to just be on him.
Yeah,
alone.
Jeff, of course.
Thank you.
We got to stop trying to always rationalize everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But if there was some kind of what they're saying is a pink cocaine or a certain cocaine synthetic and it was gotten by somebody in the hotel, that should also be looked at as well. But yeah, clearly it was his problem.
Yeah. And
unfortunately.
I don't know anybody that has endless amounts of money that can't get whatever they want. No one wants to talk about that, but it's not like no one can say no to somebody that's got $100 million because the leverage is so different. It's like if you do say no, the hotel will suffer. You're going to be fired. If you do say yes, you could go to jail. It's like, I don't know. He just seems drunk, very drunk. What can I do? And I think it's going back, and I think it's blaming.
I'm just thinking now, I'm just going to walk down the street
I'm
going to wear a hat with horse blinders.
You should help people if they need
drugs here, a fight here, that's going on there. I'm not doing anything. Just keep walking.
No.
Just put your earbuds in. We didn't start the fire.
That's what society's becoming,
totally.
Man. It's they're becoming zombies because they don't want to get caught up in what if I touch that guy, cracks his head. What if this is a racial motivation?
See?
What if it's drug related? It's these things are, instead of just being I think that guy had a drinking problem and he fell off the balcony because he drank 6 bottles of whiskey.
Right.
Maybe that's the
answer.
You know what's weird? You know what's weird? I just read about in New Jersey that their traffic count and enforcement went down by 74% over the past few months, and their traffic deaths went up, but they're scared of getting caught because of racial profiling, so they're just not doing anything. So at one point, a guy's father his truck was on fire and they found him thrown out, and for hours and hours on the highway, nobody did anything because they just don't want to get in trouble because of the racial profiling. And so they're seeing a direct correlation between cops doing what you're saying is I don't want to do anything, I don't want to get in trouble, and the morale of and then traffic deaths went way up because they're not enforcing any traffic.
That seems like a strange correlation.
They said it was a perfect correlation. You don't enforce traffic.
Good comeback.
They don't enforce traffic.
It was perfect. Well, you're right.
Yeah, you can't force that on anybody.
Actually, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Next question.
So you can't ask.
Closes her briefcase. Judge is banging the gavel.
You're wrong.
Actually, it was a perfect correlation.
But if you don't enforce speed and weaving and problem things, you're gonna have traffic.
No,
death.
there's definitely a problem with that. And I think I don't know. I think policing needs to come back to a certain extent, not with any sort of racial intentions, but just policing, maybe put some sort of fear in everybody, not any, just
but then you get to martial law, this whole thing.
No, not just martial. I'm saying just regular stuff.
I know, but you can't even regulate the subways. You see the subways in New York?
No. But I'm saying
subways are clean and they're fine.
Everything's up, crime's up in every aspect. Rape is up, SA is up, everything's up.
Yeah.
We have 1 minute. Should we do the
trivia? You know what else is all the way up? I couldn't think of the song. Fat Joe.
I'm all the way up.
Hey, I did another one. What's the first song you think of when you hear the word jump?
Crisscross.
Oh, really?
What'd you think of?
The Pointer Sisters.
Oh, that's a good one.
For my love, jumping. for my love.
I was thinking
Jump
about the
in.
Pointer Sisters randomly this week because I was looking. I have their album, of course,
It's
at home.
great.
And just like I'll send you some screenshots of the albums I have, and they're just like regular looking people. They're attractive, but I just loved musicians that
Who
were
were
just
regular.
like regular looking people, and
Yeah,
it's like
normal
so
weight.
cool.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like I wonder if we'll ever get that.
Let's do a rapid fire since we're out of time.
Okay, you ready?
I'm gonna give you a
Oh.
name, and you're both of you at the same time think what song
Okay.
it's in. Okay.
Okay.
Love. Just say it out loud.
Me Tender. I don't know as the first thing.
All right.
Love me do. You know I love you.
All right.
What is?
Same. That was a song from the 1860s.
Oh my god! Awful.
Before they invented music.
All right.
That's a
let's
good
do Honey.
Huh.
All right. Let's do Sugar. Are you serious?
I can't think of one.
Sugar dun 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 dun
No, I got
dun
it.
dun. Honey, honey, dun,
How
dun,
about
I got sugar pie, honey.
Oh,
bun.
that's
There you
good.
go.
That's
You
good.
know that I love you.
how about Bridge?
Like a bridge.
That was actually in my head.
Over
Really?
trouble.
I got Biz Markie,
Water.
the bridge, the bridge, the bridge.
Oh,
About
nice.
Queens
What's
Bridge,
that?
original battle rap, like the original beef, early mid '80s, like Queens versus the Bronx. Like it used to
Oh.
be very borough,
Like bridge-oriented.
Your borough
That
is
reminds
like,
me of Juice a little
yeah,
bit.
this is how
Juice?
Queens does it. This is how the Bronx does it. This is how Manhattan.
Oh.
That's what there's like. New York is sectioned off.
Oh,
Staten
for sure.
Island, the Wu-Tang Clan, like. It's like that's why people rep where they're from. They don't just say they'll say New York City, but they're Brooklyn.
from-
Biggie said Brooklyn.
That's right. I'm from D.C., not from Maryland, not from Virginia, from D.C., where there ain't no delegates, there ain't no representatives, there ain't no senators, they're just me.
Is
That's
that
like
a song, or did you just make that
just
up?
made
that's like what a white woman would say when she's subbing a black class in a movie. I might not be
Michelle
where
Pfeiffer?
you're
For
from.
the backwards chair?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm
What's
from
that-
a
what's
rich
that movie with
neighborhood.
Michelle Pfeiffer?
Word. Now you teach me to break dance. I'll teach you about subject predicate.
That
Oh,
is
man. That's, all right, that's how we're ending it. That's
All
how we're
right,
ending it.
guys, we love you. Coming in for our Friday foolishness. We always have so much fun, but I love that we could talk serious
Serious,
and
yeah.
and because we're secretly all stupid and still 7 years old inside. I love you guys so much. Jeff Schroeder, Tori Shulman. I am Al Jackson. Shout out, dude, IDK Studios, and my boy Nick for holding us down, Night Owls. We love you guys.
hoot.
Please remember to continue to like, subscribe, and share our content and send it to a friend. Like, I think you might like this.
Just the funny stuff.
Just the funny stuff. That's right. We keep it light over here, but we keep it real. We love you guys. Enjoy your weekend.